baptized when I was 3 months old, but that was more of a dedication by my mom and my dad at that point. And then everything sort of went downhill after that. And it took 50 years of me wandering around thinking I could do anything. I did everything. Led me down a lot of dark roads. I did a lot of things that I wish I didn't, but I wasn't feeling all that well about everything I'd done.
I've been saved for, say, about 3 years now. I definitely spent many years proclaiming to know there was a God, but my definition of God changed with every book that I read. One day I believed in reincarnation, the next day I wouldn't believe in reincarnation. I tattooed Pastor Jeff, and when Pastor Jeff was in my chair, we were talking about God, and I was asking him questions about the Bible. I didn't really know much about the Bible, and other life coasters were coming in, and there was something different about those people. There was a light in them that I was very attracted to. So that moved me to start asking questions. We ended up at a life group at Natasha and Daryl's house, a Bible study, and Stacy said something that became very pinnacle in my salvation, and it was so simple. She just said, open the Bible and ask Jesus to reveal himself to you. Don't try to figure out Revelation right now. Don't try to figure anything else. Just ask him to reveal himself to you. My past was ugly, and I was just starting to feel really moved. I wasn't saved yet, but I was really starting to feel moved. There was something going on in myself and in Hammer too, and we felt drawn that we needed a life change and we needed to go to church. It was just that moment where it was like everything came flooding back. A lot of bad memories. I almost want to say for the first time, I felt like a sinner. I mean, I knew I had done wrong. I knew I had done a lot of bad things in my past, but there was something different that happened. There was something that moved in me, and it was really painful. I went home and I closed all the shades in my house and I locked the door and I got in bed and I just loathed myself. I was so uncomfortable and just felt really desperate. And I did what Stacy told me to do. I opened the Gospel of John and I asked God to reveal himself to me. And for the first time, I read the story of the crucifixion and I felt it. For the first time, I felt a love that I didn't know existed. I understood the sacrifice that God gave in his only son and how much he loved me. And I opened myself up to that day and I asked Jesus to come into my life. And so the next week when we went to the Bible study, I shared this experience with everyone and they were all jumping up and down. They're like, you had a salvational experience. I was like, okay, cool.
I had a belief. I had hoped that I could be reincarnated and start all over again. At Daryl and Natasha's life group that night, I had asked Jeff about it. And Stacy was the one that spoke up and said, no, you have one life. And that's when I turned to believing that Jesus was my salvation.
I think when Hammer and I both had a personal revelation that we are supposed to stay in this industry, in the tattoo and body piercing industry, and that is the mission field that he set forth for us. It's a really dark industry, so immediately we have been under a lot of spiritual attack. And because of that, we have had to stay in the Word of God. We've had to lean on the promises in the Word of God because you just some days want to give up. You know, I can remember clearly the day that I understood clearly the you're gonna be this sweet perfume, or you're going to smell like death, and that's exactly what we've been experiencing. It's amazing because people will come through our doors, and they don't know what it is. They don't know what it is. They see something different, just as we saw something different in Life Coasters. They see life, and it smells sweet to them in our store. And I'll tell you, there have been people who have come in and staff members, people have come in the shop that we smell like death to. Where do you go in that? You know, even as a Christian, there's two options. There's more than two options, but we could have quit. We could have started drinking. There's a lot of things we could have done, but instead we chose to go to the Word of God and lean on the promises in the Word of God. And there's victory in that.
For me, the Word of God has helped me love my neighbor. I was very judgmental. I was very violent youth, and I could find any reason to take advantage of somebody else, and it was all about the money. And now it's not about the money. It's about encouragement of others. It's about sharing that word with others. And it's just, it's been a total turnaround for me every day that I wake up.
The way that I feel about the Word of God is I don't feel like I have this big to-do list of things I need to do that involve the Word and reading the Word, because that's what I'm supposed to do because I'm Christian. I read my Bible all the time because my life in every aspect has been changed by God, by the love of Christ, through my salvational experience. I have always struggled with depression. I've been on lots of psychiatric medication. All of that has been absolved in the Lord. Here's what I found. The only reason why I know the promises of God is because I read the Bible. I was a smoker. For 24 years, I smoked cigarettes, and God delivered me from smoking in an instant. No patches, no prescriptions, no anything. I was delivered from smoking. He delivered me from it, but if I wasn't in the Word of God, I wouldn't know that He makes a promise that He will give me a way out of every temptation. We will be tempted, but not beyond what we can bear, and that He will always give us a way out of temptation. So although I was delivered from smoking, it doesn't mean that I haven't been tempted to smoke. But you know what? I lean on that promise of God, and I wouldn't know that was there if I wasn't reading my Bible. And because of that, I have not smoked in months. And those are the kind of promises that unless I was reading the Bible, I would not know them and would not know that freedom. Little by little, I'm gaining more and more freedom through the promises of God, and it's all right there in His book. There's clear instructions for all of it, and I'm sure just like every other Christian, I want more and more freedom every day and experience that peace, love, and joy in my salvation.
I'm Hammer.
I'm Tara, and we are Second.